Today we're going to be talking about my November TBR, and as always you can get all the links to the books I discussed today in the description down below from bookshop.org. Bookshop.org works with small and local bookstores to get them a little bit more of a kickback whenever you buy through them, or get them from your local library. Also, today's video is going to be a part 1, so if you want to, subscribe and come back on Saturday to find out a bit more about the books I'm going to be reading in November and kind of why. But let's get into the books I'm definitely going to be reading this November. The first book is going to be the third book in the Earthsea series, and it is The Farthest Shore. I really love The Tombs of Atawan. You guys said it is one of the better ones. It truly is. I'm getting more into it next week when I do my look back, my wrap up of October, but I really enjoyed The Tombs of Atawan and I'm looking forward to reading the next book in the Earthsea series. So if you haven't read any of the Earthsea books like I didn't until recently, I 100% recommend it. You should definitely pick them up, especially if you love fantasy books. Next up is Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's a very niche kind of indie type book. There might be a film about it, I'm not sure. I know definitely there's a movie about dinosaurs going out and about, but this is called Jurassic Park. But yeah, I've never read it, and if you've been following me for a while, I love dinosaurs. As a kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I wanted to be a paleontologist until I found out I had to study biology, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm not going to be a paleontologist. I'm just going to read books about dinosaurs. So I thought, you know what, let's finally bite the bullet. Get it? The dinosaurs don't actually eat guns, I don't believe, but they'd be cool if they did. I'm going to read Jurassic Park. I think I like dinosaurs so much, I'll breeze through this. It's a bit thick, but I'll just breeze through it, I think. Third up is Sachin Tendulkar's autobiography. This might not be a book for everyone who's watching this video. This is purely just for me. I really don't usually read autobiographies unless they're about people who are in politics. And I've had this for such a long time, I might as well just get through it and read it. It might be one where I don't pay too much attention when I'm reading. It might just be something I sit down and just try and get through. It's interesting, I love cricket, grew up playing cricket, travelled around the world to go and watch cricket literally. So you might as well try and read a book about one of the greatest cricket players to have ever lived, huh? Fourth is The Book Thief. Know nothing about this book. I know it's popular. I've had it on my shelf for ages. Again, I used to work in a bookstore, so I would just buy popular books because I got a massive discount on them. Waterstones, if you know, you know. So I would just buy books. So I think I worked there maybe when this movie came out, maybe slightly later. I definitely know maybe the book or the movie got a resurgence when I bought this. But I know nothing about it. I've not even looked at the blurb at the back. I generally don't look at blurbs of books I know that are already popular. Might be a bad idea, but I only look at the blurb when it's a book that I've never seen before, and I'm like, okay, I'll read it. If it's a book that's already popular, I'll buy it and read it because it's popular and kind of see if I agree with the takes people have on it, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's why I'm going to be reading The Book Thief. And again, done no research on this book, know nothing about the author, know nothing about the book. I never watched the movie, so I don't know. But people like it, so I'll probably read it. Usually I do research authors before I read, but I've not. So this might be I don't know. But yeah, The Book Thief. And finally, I'm going to be reading Dubois' Voices from Within the Veil. I've made a video in the past where I kind of explained Dubois and Marcus Garvey, and basically the short version of it is Dubois and Garvey were the people who inspired many of the civil rights leaders that we know, kind of like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They were kind of their predecessors. They were civil rights leaders in their own right, but many of the ones we know from the 50s and 60s were inspired by the teachings of Dubois and Garvey. They both had basically different schools of thought when it came to the liberation of Black Americans. So that's why I'm going to read Dubois and kind of see his perspective on his writings. I've got a few Dubois books just because I think when I was buying them, they were a little bit more easier to get my hands on than some of Garvey's books. Talking about Garvey, I lied. I'm also going to read a Marcus Garvey book. I just thought of it as I was saying. I was just going to read the Dubois book. This is one of Garvey's collections of poems. So it's still talking about his ideology as a civil rights leader, but more in poem form. I've discussed this before, I'm not really a poetry guy, I'm not really someone who gets poetry, never did, even when I was an English student, didn't get it entirely, but you know, it is one of Garvey's shorter works, and so I think I picked it up. I forgot that I bought this when my books came by Marcus Garvey and Du Bois, because I'm pretty sure this was the only book that came on its own, and it just turned up at my house. I'm like, oh, okay. It's a short one, so again, obviously poetry probably has a different length of analysis than you would for a piece of prose, but I'll see if I can maybe read this in one sitting, I think. But I guess it depends. It might be a bit more difficult to actually understand what I'm taking in, unless the poems are all interconnected. But it is still, you know, Garvey's ideology in this book. So that's my November TBR. I think it's a good split. 3 fiction books, 3 non-fiction books. 2 of them are pretty short, so Du Bois and Garvey's books they're pretty short, but also they might be deceptively long to read because they might be a little bit more complicated and a little bit more complex than the other 3-4 books I've got there. I think the one I'm most looking forward to reading is The Farthest Shore, because I'm really getting into the Earthsea books. I'm kind of, you know, I'm feeling the world, I'm feeling the characters, I'm feeling what's going on. I love Ursula Le Guin's writing, so big up to that, big up to, you know, those of you who kind of push me to read Earthsea, which I appreciate. You know, I love that you guys have been interacting a lot in the comments. Let me know in the comments down below which of these books you yourself have read, if you've read any of them. If not, are you interested in picking up any of them whilst I'm reading them? Hey, maybe we can parallel read them, so I'm reading them and you're reading them and we're but like I said in the beginning of the video, this book's kind of a part 1 of 2 about what I'm reading in November. These are the books I'm definitely going to read in November, and on Saturday I'm going to get into a little bit more detail as to how that's a part 2, give you a little bit of mystery there. So, you know, if you enjoy the channel, if you enjoy the videos, hit the subscribe button and come back, check out that video and see kind of what I mean by that's going to be a part 2 to these. Like I said, you can get all these books in the description down below if available from bookshop.org. Bookshop.org works with small and independent booksellers to kind of get them a little bit more of a kickback when you buy through them. Alternatively, pick up all of these books from your local library. We love local libraries here. And one last thing, if you really love the content, if you really love the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. Becoming a member means you get some perks like you get cool special emojis, you get all my videos early, sometimes up to a week early than they come out normally. You'll also get bonus videos, so stuff like behind the scenes or just full-on individual book reviews. So if that's something that interests you, do consider becoming a member. Obviously, it does cost you money, so if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, and that is a-okay with me. We're all kind of struggling right now in the current economic climate. You subscribing, you liking, you watching is more than enough. But if you want to, you know, think about becoming a member. But saying that, remember to like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and I hope you have a great book today. And that did not make sense. Bloop, 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 bloop. I hope you read a great book today.